next one, depending on what you guys want to learn. Right now I will be going through the composition as well as some vocab questions, and then for the next live, and maybe if we have time for this live, what I will be doing is that we will be writing some descriptions for emotions, for facial expressions, actions, transition words, depending on what everyone needs, right? Yeah, so let's get started. Yahweh. Yeah. All right. So we have this one. The police set about work efficiently and blanked the area while the firemen in shiny suits put up the hydraulic ladder. Okay, we have four options: shut off, blocked off, condoned off, and closed off. Okay, does anyone know what the answer might be? Can anyone guess the answer? Hi, user. Welcome to the live. All right. So number one, we have shut off. Shut off refers to stopping the flow of something. Okay, you stop the flow of something. It can be water, electricity, or to turn off a device. Okay, slash turn off device. Okay, we also have the words blocked off. Blocked off refers to, oh wait, let me just, refers to obstruction, to obstruct. Okay, you have to obstruct or prevent access to an area. Okay, so that's what it means. So we also have condoned off, which refers to isolating an area. With a barrel to prevent access. And finally, we have closed off. Okay, for closed off, it means that to restrict or prevent access. Okay, you can also say that, you can also use it to describe a person, that the person was very closed off. You can say that a person was very introverted, very closed off from the world, and did not really want to associate themselves with anyone, did not really want to make an effort to get to know anyone. So though, that's another way of using it. All right, so right here we have these four options. Now let's take a look at which one might be the best option to for this question. Okay, when it comes to shut off, okay, it refers to turning off more of a service or a function. So it doesn't mean physically blocking access to something. Okay, so it might not be the most applicable in this case. So let's just cross it out. Now, blocked off. The police set about work efficiently and blocked off the area. Okay, so that is a possibility. Okay, it is a possibility. Condoned off. Okay, now condoned off, it also means the same, something similar, and this also does mean controlling the access of an area. So blocked off and condoned off do both make sense right now. So let's just look at all, go through all the options and see which one fits the best. Closed off, however, it closed off the area. It is less commonly used in such an area, so we're definitely going to cross that one out. Because blocked off, I've heard blocked off, I've heard condoned off, but I've not heard closed off the area. Okay, now let's zoom into these two words. Now, blocked off and condoned off. The main difference is that condoned off is a more official term. That means, in the sense that it has that formal tone. It has that formal tone and would more likely talk about something with authority. So you can block off something without authority. I can block out the date. I can block off a small area, but here we're talking about an area that is blocked off by the police. Okay, so we're thinking about something that is a lot more official, a lot more authoritative. So we're definitely talking about condoned off. Okay, so it's a lot more about authority, a lot more formal. Okay, so we're choosing number 3. Then finally, we have question 10, which is after a few hours, the fireman decided to get the fire under control. Oh no, the fireman managed to get the fire under control and blanked the fire. Okay, we have terminated, we have extinguished, we have ceased, and we have concluded. Okay, so these are all 4 options for this question. Okay, so extinguished, usually use that to talk about a fire, or you could use that to talk about a flame or light that you're trying to put out. Um, to put out by cause it to stop burning. All right, so that is one of options. Then we have ceased. When you're saying cease, you can say something cease to continue. Hi H. H says number 2. Okay, so we're gonna circle it first. Hi H, I've never seen you in the live before. How are you? Is this your first time in the live? My live at least. All right. Ceased means to bring to an end. Means to bring to an end. So you can say cease to continue. My brother's snoring ceased. It stopped essentially, right? The rain ceased after an hour. Then we have concluded. Concluded, which means again to bring to a close. So it could mean that you could use it in the sense that I concluded my essay with a nice paragraph on the topic of blah 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 blah. I concluded my speech, or I concluded my stay at this hotel. I concluded my job with a blah 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 blah. All right. So these are all different options. Then we have terminated. Okay, you can say I terminated a contract. I terminated now terminated is not the sense as exterminated, but I know it's spelled similarly. Okay, terminated means to also to bring to an end. Okay, to conclude something. Okay, so now here's the thing about these kind of vocab questions is that sometimes your teachers, the examiners, they would love to make things a little bit difficult for you, so they put words that are either very similar in spelling or very similar in meaning to confuse you. Now, this is another example. We did a question before this. We're going to work through it to see that there's actually small differences in words that can differentiate them. So just because they're all similar doesn't mean they're all the answers. I know sometimes students like to joke and say, oh, all 4 are the answer. Okay, that is not possible in this kind of questions. You won't have a question where all 4 of them are the answer. Okay, unless you know, you have a question that says all of the above, then but in English you really won't have that. That won't happen. Okay, terminated. Okay, now let's go one by one. Terminated usually means a a general ending to something, and it's not really used to put out a fire. You don't say terminate the fire. You can say terminate a contract. You can term terminate a position. You can terminate a lot of things, but fire is not one of them. So we can cross that out. Okay, we have extinguish. Now, extinguish is more of fire. You can say extinguish a fire. You can say extinguish. It's firefighters extinguished a fire after effort, or his hope was extinguished. So something that is lighting up, something that you have to put out. Okay. So this is an option. Let's H is correct. For now, let's see if there are any other options that will make more sense. Hi, thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for following us. I did not catch your username, but thank you so much. All right, ceased. We have to bring to an end. So when you're talking about ceased, like I mentioned, you can say the rain ceased. He ceased to exist. His snoring ceased. So something that ends, okay? It means an activity coming to an end, but it's not a very specific term for fire or light or anything like that. So it's not as suitable in this context, okay? So we're going to cross that out as well. Concluded, okay. Now for concluded, you can use it for an event like an activity. We concluded the event with a cake. We concluded this paragraph talking about this topic. I concluded my speech with blah 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 blah. Okay, so what it also means to bring to a close or end, it's less has less to do with putting out a fire. It doesn't really fit the context. Okay, so after looking through all the options, we can see that number 2, it makes the most sense. So H is correct. Good job, great job. 2 was the answer, so the answer will be after a few hours, the fireman decided to get the fire under control, managed to get the fire under control, and extinguish the fire. Okay, so that will be your answer. Okay, so we have actually finished off this portion and we'll be moving on to another composition. Okay, so we have, give me a second. Yep, we have this. Oopsies. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, this is our new composition that we will be going through. Okay, so it's called drenched. It's a primary school composition, but of course, you don't necessarily have to. Definitely during the exam or during practice, you will have to differentiate between secondary school and primary school. But in terms of this live, sometimes students will ask, "Oh, if we're secondary school student, can we sit here to the live?" Yes, because over here it's not just about, definitely structure is one thing. Structure it's different between primary school and secondary school. You have different formatting, but when it comes to how you phrase yourself, how you use certain vocabs, that is pretty much the same throughout. Okay, maybe you would need a different tone when you're doing different writing, more formal writing. Depends on the composition, depends on the question you're given, but definitely there is no harm, and it's actually beneficial to practice the amount of the vocab you use, the choice of vocab, the choice and structure, because teachers do look at that. Okay, so practicing language is something that should remain continuous throughout your primary school life and secondary school life, or later in your JC life. Okay, so definitely sit through our questions, sit through our lives, no matter which academic level you're at. Okay, both okay. Okay, let's start the composition. Enough of me yapping. All right. Drenched. The penetrating sound of the alarm shook Sean out of his sweet slumber. Okay. Ignoring it, he muffled his ears with his pillow and promptly went back to sleep. Okay. Okay, please note that this name is pronounced Sean, not Seen. Sean, it's Sean. Okay. The penetrating sound. Okay. Now, penetrating usually means piercing. Oh my goodness. means piercing. And in terms of sound, when you're saying that a sound is piercing, you can actually imagine, in terms of audio, something that is very sharp, something that hurts your ears, something that is very jarring, something that is not pleasant, essentially. Okay, so it's a very good description if you're talking about something that's loud, something that's causing you discomfort in terms of sound. Definitely you can use this word penetrating, or you could just directly use the word piercing. Okay, but if you're going to use it twice, you can alternate between them. Okay, the alarm shook Sean out of his sweet slumber. Okay, when you're talking about shook, we have spoken about this before. You're talking about something that doesn't literally mean that the alarm is shaking him, holding him and shaking him. It does not mean that. Okay, it means it figuratively, and it means that it's startling him awake, startle, or to jolt someone awake. Okay, in the context of the sentence. And it is also the use of personification. Personification, because alarm can't shake anyone awake, but you're giving it human qualities so that you can more figuratively, or more, give it a more visual approach it more visually to describe how intrusive the alarm was. Okay, now this is another way that I feel like I can explain the importance of going through this kind of compositions with us, no matter which academic level you are, which exams you're going to pursue. Okay, now whether you're taking A levels, you're taking O levels, you're taking PSLE, you're taking IB. Now this is all very important. In certain academic levels, you're expected to do literature, like an IB, you're expected to do literature, and in terms like that, in situations like that, it's very important for you to know like the different writing techniques, the different uses of structure, alliteration, personification, idioms. All these are really, really important because you're tested on those, not only in essays, not only in your writing, but sometimes also in your papers. So you will need to go through these kind of lessons, and this is one way that you can improve on that. Okay, it's definitely one way you can improve on that. um shook Sean out of his sweet slumber. Okay, when you're talking about sweet slumber, you're talking about a deep, peaceful sleep. Okay, and then ignoring it, he muffled his ears. When you're talking about muffled, you can say that the sound was muffled, or he muffled his ears. You can use it as a description, you can use it as a action. So in this case, it means it's usually of a sound. It means something is not loud due to obstruction. Oh, give me a second. Obstruction. Okay, so something is muted essentially. Okay, and promptly went back to sleep. When you're saying something promptly happens, Gene teaching? Hi, Henry Lemon. Who, Gene teaching? You want Gene to teach? Hi, full marks for everything. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you, daily. Was it daily readings or something? Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much. That's not. Oh, that's not. I mean, I'm not admin Gene. If that's what you mean. Okay, promptly means immediately. With little or no delay. Okay. So he went back to sleep. Okay. Now, next paragraph. Sean, you're going to be late. Mother bellowed and rudely whipped the bed covers from Sean's bed. Groggily, Sean wiped the sleep from his eyes. He stared blearily at the alarm clock. It was already 7 o'clock. Sean instantly shot into action. He changed into his school uniform swiftly, grabbed his bag and gobbled down his breakfast. Okay, so we're really progressing the story. We're doing just the right amount of descriptions, but we're moving the story along. We're focused on that. Okay, when you're talking about ballad, you mean that someone is doing a deep raw. Someone's not saying something nicely. It's admitting a deep raw. So it's you can use this term to describe speech when it comes to someone authoritative, or you can use it for someone of a certain like status. You can use it for someone who's trying to intimidate. Yeah, this is the instead of using the word sit, this is an alternative. Okay, and rudely whip the bit covers. Okay, when you're saying whip the bit covers from someone's bit, you're talking about to move something. In terms of whip, you're talking to move something quickly and forcefully. So essentially, in this context, mother is whipping the bed cover. She is moving the bed covers away. She's taking it off Sean's bed very, very forcefully. Okay, she's waking someone up. Okay. Groggily refers to in a dazed or staggering way, or staggering manner. Okay. So it can be due to someone is drunk, someone is exhausted. Okay. Okay, so okay. Groggily, Sean wiped the sleep from his eyes. Okay, he's wiping the sleep from his eyes. When you're saying sleep, okay, it could mean that he is literally wiping. So it's not literally wiping the fact that he's still asleep from his eyes. It could mean that. It could mean that he is figuratively waking up. Okay, sleep could also mean like eye gunk, the gunk in your eye. He could be wiping that away from his eye. Figuratively, it means that he's also just waking up. So, it could mean that. So it's a idiomatic expression where someone is waking up or still groggy from sleep. Okay, so that could be what it means. He stared you guys get what I mean. At the alarm clock, so it means you're tired, tired or watery eyes, or even red eyes. Okay, so someone is not awake yet. It was already 7 o'clock. Sean instantly shot into action. Okay, we've talked about this before. When you're saying something shot, it doesn't mean that there was a gun and something was literally shot. Okay, it does not mean that. Essentially, when you imagine a gun shooting something, like a bullet out, you imagine that the bullet is going at a very, very fast pace, is going at a very fast speed, and that's exactly the reference that they want to make. So it is as fast as a bullet, so it's more metaphoric. So it's like a metaphor that something got into action quickly. Okay, so something is moving as fast as a bullet. So Sean instantly shot into action. Sean essentially can be imagined to be a bullet, and he's just shooting his way into action. Okay. He changed into school uniform swiftly. When you're saying swiftly, you mean in a speedy manner. So with a certain speed. Okay, grabbed his bag and gobbled down his breakfast. When you say he gobbled down his breakfast, you're saying that he's eating something quickly and noisily. Oh, goodness. Okay, so, okay, then we're going on to the next paragraph. I think we should have time to go through some descriptions. I know there's not a lot of people, but definitely if you feel like you cannot sit through this live, there is playback on YouTube, so don't be afraid of missing out. Okay. Don't forget your umbrella, Mother reminded him in her usual nagging tone. It looks like it may rain today. However, her advice fell on deaf ears as Sean made a dash for the door and zoomed into the lift. Sean waited edgily for the lift to hit the ground floor, and throughout the entire time, he was glancing impatiently at his watch. Mentally, Sean was praying for time to stop as he paced in the minuscule lift. The minute the lift doors opened, Sean spurted towards the bus stop, okay? This is our third paragraph. I think it's our third. Yeah, it's our third paragraph, alright? Usual nagging tone. It's a bit of a characteristic that we're giving Mother over here. Again, do note that when you're using your dialogue, please do not only use dialogue to move your sentence, to move your story forward. You absolutely cannot do 5 different dialogues and use that to convey that your story is moving forward. Okay, 5 is way too much, way too much. And I always tell the students, if you're using more than 2 dialogue, you're moving the story forward of dialogue, and that is not correct. You will get penalized for that. So do not do that. As a student, I made a mistake of doing that and was penalized. Learn from my lesson, okay? Over here, you can see that the dialogue is adding to the story. It is adding to the fact that Mother's character trait. You can say that Mother is more naggy, and you can tell that from the dialogue. And the dialogue is also used to express the fact that Mother did remind Sean, and later on Sean did not listen. Her advice fell on deaf ears, okay? So reminded him her usual nagging tone. Her advice fell on deaf ears, like I mentioned before. This means that advice was ignored, unnoticed, or not acted upon. Okay, Sean made a dash for the door. Okay, when you're saying dash for the door, you're using it as an idiom. It means suddenly, run quickly, okay? Made a dash for the door and zoomed into the lift. Again, like the word shot, it's more of a, the word actually adds to the story. It shows the nature of the way Sean ran, essentially. So it means to move or travel quickly as well. You could say the car zoomed past, the bus zoomed past, Sean zoomed past, he zoomed into the lift in this case. Okay, now we'll wait edgily, which means essentially just like the word on edge, it means that he was on edge, that he was waiting nervously or anxiously. So okay, so waited in a nervous or restless manner. Okay, so it really paints the picture that Sean knows that he's gonna be late, and Sean knows he's gonna be late, and he is stressed out. He shows that through not only his actions but the way he views the world around him, because we also say over here the lift seems very small to him, so he feels that sense of claustrophobia in his stress, right? Hello, Shumin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live. Today is a very cold day, so I'm assuming that everyone is still in bed. If you have the luxury of that, of course. Either that or you're in school studying. All right. Okay. Glancing impatiently. We know what glancing means. Glancing means you're looking at something not directly, but you're giving it a very brief and hurried look. Okay, and impatiently, we know what it means. It means you're waiting for something in a very impatient way. Mentally. Okay, now this word mentally, it means that in his mind, okay? So you could use in his mind as well. In his mind, Sean was praying for time to stop as he paced the minuscule lift, or you could say mentally, Sean was praying. Okay, both are okay. Sean was praying. Okay, now when we say praying, it means that someone is wishing or hoping. Okay, he's asking God for help. God, please make time stop. Please let me get be able to get to school faster. Okay, when you say minuscule, you mean a very tiny or small place. Okay, the minute the lift doors open, when you're saying the minute the lift doors open, you're also showing, not telling that it is immediately that Sean is in a rush. You're saying that the minute the doors open, he's rushing out. He's not wasting a second more. Okay, you're showing, not telling that he's in such a rush. Okay, Sean spurted. Okay, now when you're saying spurted could mean that blood spurted out, or you could say he spurted towards, so he's running towards. Both are ways of using this word. So it means to move with sudden speed. So it's not something that is very consistent. It's something that's more sudden. It's more of something that happens in bursts. Okay. Now we are at, if I'm not wrong, our last two paragraphs. Do let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Before Sean could even make it to the bus stop, rain poured down in torrents. Okay. Within minutes, he was drenched from head to toe. In the distance, he saw the bus rumble off. He sped up, trying to catch up with it. In his haste, he did not see the puddle of water in front of him. Splash! Sean slipped and landed on all fours. Pain shot through his ankle. He grimaced in agony. Left with little choice, Sean decided to hit home instead. Okay, this is our fourth paragraph. Okay, when you say rain poured and down in torrents, you're referring to the fact that the rain is falling in a heavily way. So let's say to fall heavily and continuously in fast, powerful streams. Okay, so you're talking about, there is a literal picture that it looks like this. So we're drawing some clouds, okay, and then the rain looks like this. It's literally going down in turns. You can imagine straight thick lines of rain that's just falling through the sky like this. That is literally the picture that is being painted over here. I can draw another cloud so it looks more rain-like. Okay, so it literally looks like something like that. Okay, wait, the pen's a little thick today. Okay, there we go. Okay, within minutes, he was drenched from head to toe. Okay, later I will do a paragraph on writing rain as a description. I'm gonna note it down here so I remember. Okay, you guys feel free to come back if you guys later, because we'll be doing different sections. So because right now we will end the live at 1:30. So we will be having around, like, by the time we finish this, we will have 30 minutes. So we'll do go through as much as possible, and then later on in my second live, we'll be doing another live this evening. We will go through some more vocab questions, and we will also be going through some more descriptions. Okay, so if you have any specific descriptions that you would like me to go through, something that you struggle with writing during your examinations, maybe it can be like a nice day. Okay, but usually people feel like they do better when it comes to weather descriptions. Some people feel like they struggle with indoor descriptions. Okay, like I said, it's very important to choose the descriptions that you start off with, which one is more appropriate. So you can't start a story with outdoor description if your entire story is going to be held indoors. Okay, so it is important to know how to do both. We'll also be doing descriptions on facial expressions. Okay, that is very important as well. Facial expressions, those can bring your story forward, believe it or not. Descriptions of fear, descriptions of anger, something whether it's deep rooted in you, like something that's you feel so deeply angry. Yeah, those are descriptions that we'll do. We'll also be doing descriptions on actions, like action words, verbs. We'll be going through some adverbs. Yeah, we'll be doing all of those. All right, so no worries. No worries if you guys need any help, just type it in the comments and we will go through it in a bit. All right, let me just note it down. Okay, so we have go through emotions. See, I made that little note for myself, and we also go through scenery. So we also have, in this case, we have rain. Okay, rain, pouring. Okay, pouring, drizzling, about to rain. Okay, so we'll be going through all of that in a bit. Okay, now let's, where were we? Okay, here. Okay, let's continue. Sorry for the, yeah. Drenched from head to toe. Okay, now this is one of the words that you guys would want to remember. When you're saying someone is drenched from head to toe, you meaning they are soaked. They are soaked. They have been under the rain. They are soaked. They're just soaked. You can use this as a bit of a foreshadowing. Oh, they are about to get sick. Okay, so this also works. You mean they are completely. Ooh, completely soaked. In the distance, he saw his bus rumble off. When saying the bus rumbled off, you mean you're driving away with a deep sound, okay? When you're in literature, you can also say that the deep sound also kind of links to the fact that he is looking at the bus going away with very somber emotions, knowing that he's going to be late, okay? So that's a bit of an additional add-on for students that are doing literature, okay? But of course, if you're not doing that, okay, so drove away with a deep, heavy sound, okay? He sped up trying to catch up with it. In his haste, he did not see the puddle of water in front of him, okay? When you're saying in his haste, in her haste, you mean in his rush, okay? Haste essentially means rush, okay? He did not see the puddle of water in front of him splash, so you have that sound effect over here. You're making it more vivid for the reader, okay? He slipped and landed on all fours. When you're saying that someone lands on all fours, you can imagine that they are literally on their hands and knees. That's what they mean. So hands and knees. So it's an idiom. We are out of space. Okay. He grimaced in agony. Okay, when you're saying this, it means that they have a very, this word in particular means that they have a very twisted expression. So it's usually a sign that someone is in pain. Okay, wait, let me just. twisted facial expression. So it's usually a sign that someone's in pain, okay? Or you could also say that he feels disgusted when you're looking at something and you twist your expression. You feel that something's very disgusting, you don't want to look at it anymore, okay? When you're saying agony, you mean that someone's in severe pain. So if you put the use of those two words together, you get a very well painted picture of the pain and the discomfort that Sean is going through. Oh, we forgot this. Pain shot through his ankle. Okay, forgot about this. When you're saying something shot, we mentioned this before. When you're saying something shot, it doesn't literally mean that it's a bullet use. You can be making a reference to a bullet that the pain was so sharp and it was moving so fast. Okay, so in this case, it essentially means that sudden sharp pain moved quickly through, okay? Left with little choice, okay? When you're saying that someone is left with little choice, you mean that for whatever reason, for whatever, due to whatever situation, someone ends up with limited options. You could say that you could use this phrase in a situation where someone made the wrong decision, which is in this case, someone made a wrong decision, there was a misdeed, someone misbehaved, and now they're left with little choice but to face the consequences of what they did. Okay, so that's one way. Sean decided to head home instead and decided to go home instead. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, last paragraph before we move on to our descriptions, okay? Bedraggled and filthy, okay? Sean hobbled his way home in the torrential downpour. He felt miserable. He was freezing cold and shivering like a leaf. By the time he reached home, Sean was running a temperature. How he wished he had listened to his mother's advice earlier. He swore that he would always carry an umbrella with him in future, okay? Now, with this, you are ending the story. We have gone through introductions and endings. If anyone remembers what this ending is. Hi, Ula. I see full marks for everything is still here, which is great. I see a lot of people sitting here. They're just not saying anything. That's alright. Alright. Okay, bedraggled and filthy. Okay, oh no. We were talking about, what kind of ending is this? Okay, now you are also, there are different types. We have to go through them again. Endings, you have description. You can describe the scenery. You can do transition out from action, okay, which is essentially you're moving slowly away from the main action, which is exactly what is happening here. So Sean is in pain, but he's heading home, okay? You could talk about a meaningful moment where, let's say, someone did something nice to you and you want to dwell on that as you zoom out of your composition. That is one way. You could also end a flashback. You can end the flashback. Or it can also be a lesson, okay? You end off with powerful lesson learned that, oh, I will never do this again, okay? So this is a bit of transitioning out and a lesson learned, okay? I'll talk about why I said that in a bit, all right? Bedraggled and filthy, you're talking about something is dirty, or bedraggled, you're talking that something is dirty and messy. And then when you're saying filthy, you're also saying that something is in an unclean state. Unclean, worn out. Okay? Hobbled. When you're saying someone hobbles their way, it's better than saying Sean walked his way home, because walk sounds a bit too neutral for this situation. Sean is hurt. Sean is upset. Sean is in discomfort. You will not say that Sean is walking. It is way too neutral, okay? Your language marks will definitely take the hit. So instead, use the word Sean hobble, okay? When you're saying hobble, you're talking about someone that is walk in an awkward way, okay? So it can be due to pain or injury. Both are quite conventional with using this word. So both are good options. his way home in the Toronto downpour. So this means that very intense rain. So we're going back to the little diagram that I drew just now. So you can imagine that it's falling down in long columns of rain. Okay, he felt miserable. Okay, very straightforward, short sentence. That's it. He felt miserable. He's upset. He was freezing cold and shivering like a leaf. Okay, so shivering like a leaf adds on to that. He was freezing cold, hence he was shivering like a leaf. Okay, you're painting a better picture of a cause and effect. Okay, shivering like a leaf, you're essentially saying that he is shaking uncontrollably like a leaf in the wind. You can imagine that when the wind, because of how fragile the leaves are, when there's strong wind, strong gusts of wind, you can imagine the leaf is going to shake, and that's exactly how it is like for Sean. He's feeling very fragile, he's feeling discomfort, he's feeling very cold, he's shivering like a leaf. Right? So by the time he finally reached home, Sean was running a temperature. But you're saying that someone's running a temperature, it's not like his temperature is literally running, although it would be a nice picture to paint, that his temperature is going up so much it feels like his temperature is running up. Okay? Essentially, it means that he is experiencing a fever. You can also say running a fever, that works as well. So it means that you could also say that his body temperature is higher than usual. Okay, that's one way of seeing it, right? How he wished he had listened. Okay, now we're talking about this. By the time he finally reached home, you are transitioning completely out of the action. The story has ended. The story started out. The story happened outside, and now he's home. Okay, it has ended. And now that he's running a temperature, that's the consequences for his action. How he wished he had listened to. The fact that he wishes that he had listened to his mother's advice, and he swears that he would always carry an umbrella with him in the future. That is a lesson learned. He learned that he cannot just walk around in the rain with an umbrella. He's going to get hurt, he's going to get sick, he's going to be uncomfortable. He will never do that again in the future. That is a lesson learned, okay? So when you say someone swore, it kind of adds on to the fact that they learned a very heavy lesson that they feel so intensely that I'm never going to do this again, okay? You are swearing. Swearing is quite a heavy thing, that you are promising yourself that you will never, you will listen to your mother's advice, okay? He wished he had listened, okay? All right, we have finished this composition. Good job, everyone, especially to those who stayed through the entire composition. All right. Now we're gonna skip all the way to the end, okay? We will be going through the questions later, but I want to give a bit of a gap to those who, because from my understanding, when you give yourself a bit of a gap and then you retest yourself, you are giving yourself a chance to regurgitate the information rather than putting it the quiz right after. You're giving yourself more time to internalize, to go through that information in your head. You give your brain time to process things. All right. All right. Let's talk about rain. Rain. It's a very prominent. Not prominent. It's a very, I wouldn't say overused. A very commonly used weather description. So now, when can we use rain? Okay. Obviously, we use rain when it's raining. Obviously. Uh, Raining for let's say incident where you slip. Okay, when you slip, so it's an accident is gonna happen. So you can say that when, let's say, that is the main thing of the composition, is that someone is going to slip, like in this case, or someone there's going to be an accident, someone's going to slip forward, there's going to be a car accident. That is, you can use rain. You can say the roads were slippery. That's what you can do. Or you want to use it as foreshadowing. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily, the story doesn't necessarily have to revolve around the fact that it's raining. The main scene doesn't have to be it's raining, but you could start your story with rain to foreshadow that something bad is going to happen. Okay, so you could say that it was the sky is gloomy and that matches my emotions. You could say that the narrator is feeling very down and that's why. So you can use it to express narrator's current emotions. Okay, so we have all that. And then we also have foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, like I mentioned before, you could say that something bad is about to happen. Okay, so I like this one a lot because it adds that layer to your composition to show the teacher that this is not just a one dimension story, that things happen and the story starts and then ends. It is multi-dimensional. It has different layers of foreshadowing, premonition. Premonition is essentially where you feel like something bad is going to happen. um, there's a bit of guessing from the reader. It's more engaging. It is more sophisticated as a story. It shows your teacher that you are able to structure a good story. You are able to write a quality, engaging story. Okay, so these are all things that will definitely benefit the way the teacher looks at your composition. Okay. Okay, let's start with pouring. Okay, so we have the term rain fell down in torrents. Okay, so we've all that. Okay, so we have pouring, and then we will do drizzling and about the rain. Okay, do let me know if there's any other specific description that you would like me to go through. We'll be going through raining, sun, and finally, I think in terms of indoor, we'll be going through canteen. Okay, I think we can also go through library. We want to go through as many common environments where a story could possibly take place. So we want to do all that to make sure our students are well equipped. Okay, so you guys can take a notebook out or write it down, or you guys could just take a screenshot afterwards. Okay, it's up to you. It's up to you. Whatever learning method is best for you. Okay, pouring. I'm gonna write this on the spot with you guys. Okay, when you're saying pouring, we want to first describe the rain because it's the main character. Okay. Uh, let's start directly. Rain poured from this from the sky, from the sky, followed by the, by the, a loud crash of thunder. Okay, so we have that audio, we have that visuals. Okay, followed by a loud crash of thunder. Okay, and then we can talk about let's say we want to do a bit of a slip, like slip accident. We're talking more about that something is about to happen, so we're setting the scene. So what would usually happen if an accident was about to occur? How do we lay the scene? We're gonna make sure that the floors are slippery, and that's why an accident is gonna happen. So we can say that puddles pulled by the road, um, making it a hazard to both young and old. Okay, so we have that, young and old. So we are already giving a bit of the idea that it is not safe. Okay, it is not safe. But then you can proceed to start your story with someone walking down the streets. Okay. So let's review. Rain poured down from the sky, followed by a loud clash of thunder. Puddles pulled by a rope, making a walking hazard for both young and old. Okay. Moderator, the comment section. Okay. Please refrain from saying anything that is disruptive or anything that has nothing to do with this lesson, especially anything that is inappropriate. Okay. There are a lot of kids that come in here to learn. Okay, let's make this a very a nice kid friendly environment. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Rain poured down from the sky, followed by a loud crash of thunder. Puddles pulled by the road, making it a hazard to both young and old. Okay. Let's say that I want to add a bit of the fact that I am the narrator. Okay. I watched from the window as streaks of rain patterned the glass panes. Okay, so I'm bringing myself into this story, into this description. So this is more of an introduction. Okay, the glass panes. Dark clouds filled the sky. Telling me, okay, let's say, as if letting me know that the rain had no intention of stopping for anyone. So we are making this a bit more sophisticated by giving the rain some emotions. Okay. Watch from the windows as streaks of rain patterned the glass panes. Dark clouds filled the sky as if letting me know that the rain had no intention of stopping for anyone. Okay, so that is one description that we can have. Okay, then you can also say that rain poured by the grass, drowning little insects. Okay, you can also say any of that. Okay, now we want to do foreshadowing. Let's do a bit of foreshadowing. Let's do a separate one, foreshadowing. How would we write something that is foreshadowing? Okay, with foreshadowing, you can say how it makes you feel, how it says that something bad is gonna happen. Like over here, you could say that making hazard to both young and old. Okay. If you want to say, let's write so like a car accident. Okay, you could say that. Let's use the puddles one again. Puddles pulled on the road. On the road. Making endangering everyone on the road. Cars still went their own merry. Okay, however, cars still went their own merry way. Unaware of this disaster happening under their feet. Okay, so we're gonna say under their feet because cars don't have feet, so there's a bit of. Okay. You can say tires if you're more comfortable with that. Both are okay. So puddles pulled by the road, endangering everyone on the road. However, cars still went on their own merry way, unaware. Oh, unaware. My bad. unaware. Okay, so there's that foreshadowing that there's a disaster really happening under their feet. Okay, so this can be, it's not an introduction, it can be in the middle of a paragraph, and you just add that to start the action from happening. Another way of foreshadowing is from someone's emotions. Okay, that means, let's say, foreshadowing. True. Just realized, can you guys see? Moderator, could we pan the camera slightly to the screen a bit more so that the screen is right. That's great. That's great. Thank you. All right. Okay. Foreshadowing. True. Narrators. Emotions. Okay, so now your narratives and emotions are and actions play a big part in your story, so we want to make the most of that and actually use it as a medium to foreshadow the rest of our story. So stories can be more engaging when your readers have the opportunity to guess that something is going to happen. Okay, or that feeling in them, you're playing with the reader's emotions and letting them know that, okay, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. But before that, you can guess. Okay? You're giving them that opportunity. All right. Oops, laptop. Okay. Okay, foreshadowing, sorry. Through narratives emotions. Thank you, Mano, for the likes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so how should we start this? Okay. We can foreshadow with the gloomy sky, okay? Clouds. Okay, let's say dark clouds, okay? Bit more description. Dark clouds fill the sky. Hmm. Groaning as droplets of rain were suddenly filled the sky. Filled the air. Okay, filled the air. Okay. The atmosphere suddenly took a solemn turn, turning turning wet and sticky, much to the discomfort of everyone. We're gonna use I as the narrator. I looked. I gazed up at the sky. Okay, let's just say we've just learned this word. Let's use it. The sky. The sky. as the sky for ruining my morning. In return, a fresh torrent of rain began to fall. As I begin my trip out of the house, I could, so we're putting a bit of thought process, I could not help but wonder if this was heaven's warning. Okay, so there's that deep, dark, foreboding scent. Okay, let's look through it again. Dark clouds filled the sky, groaning as droplets of rain suddenly filled the air. The atmosphere suddenly took a solemn turn, turning wet and sticky, much to the discomfort of everyone. I grimaced at the sky for ruining my morning. In return, a fresh torrent of rain began to fall. As I began my trip out of the house, I could not help but wonder if this was heaven's warning. Okay. And I remember a long time ago, we also did um, a composition. I did an introduction for one of the compositions where the girl fell sick. Okay, I remember that one, and I really do want to bring it up again because I think that that one more effectively covers the idea of a foreshadow than this one. And it's also um another option for you. Okay, so what I remember was saying that it was a dark night. Okay, let's try to recreate it. Okay, it was, I remember it was night and the depths of the night. Let's call her Megan. Depths of the night. Megan willed herself to not in the depths of the night. Let's just say it was about a girl so excited for her birthday that she couldn't sleep. Okay, let's, sorry. Okay. Uh, Megan tossed and turned in bed, willing herself to fall asleep. Asleep, asleep. Willing herself to fall asleep. It was her birthday tomorrow. So, and excitement was making sleep almost impossible. Possible. In the depths of night. Okay, let's start up foreshadowing. In the depths of night, she slowly drifted off to sleep. As silent drizzle crept its way into the night. Against the dark sky, the gloomy weather was almost invisible. Casting a silent but deadly warning into the once starry star filled sky. Okay, so now let me explain why I wrote this. Okay, now let's look. Megan tossed and turned in bed, willing herself to fall asleep. It was her birthday tomorrow, and excitement was making sleep almost impossible. So we're setting the scene, linking to the topic and assuring the teacher that the topic is still on track, okay? In the depths of the night, she slowly drifted off to sleep. So we're starting the action. We're describing the night before. Okay, she slowly drifted off to sleep as a silent drizzle crept its way into the night. So we're saying that it's something that is not very apparent. It's something that is silent. And that gives the teacher a sense of premonition because it's rain. Why does it have to creep? Why does it have to be silent? Why does it have to hide itself like a burglar in the night? So it has to be something that's going on, okay? The teacher will begin guessing the intentions of the students, and that's exactly what we want, okay? In the depth of the night, she slowly drifted off to sleep as a silent drizzle crept its way into the night. Against the dark sky, the gloomy weather was almost invisible, okay? So that doesn't make sense. Why is that happening, okay? But it doesn't make sense. Okay, casting a silent but deadly warning into the once star-filled sky. Okay, so we are mirroring Megan's excitement with the star-filled sky. So that's the only part that we can see her excitement being mirrored. We don't see it because everywhere else in this paragraph, everything is dark, everything is gloomy. So there's that similarity. However, it is more notable that way that the star-filled sky was something that was a state that was initially there. So the fact that it's not going to be there, we can see that from the word once, shows the teacher that something bad is going to happen. There is that sense of premonition, there's that sense of foreshadowing that her excitement is soon going to turn sour. Okay, something is going to happen. It's going to make Megan's excitement fly out of the window, and something bad is going to happen. Okay, that is essentially what we're going to do. Essentially what we're trying to convey. Okay, so we have 4 different ones over here. Okay, so description writing isn't something I would say is very, very difficult. However, much less about creativity, I would say that description writing is about being prepared. What do I mean by being prepared? Being prepared is about knowing the more conventional ways of describing weather. See, now within these 4 paragraphs that I wrote, what similarities are there? I can tell you guys straightforward that there are certain similarities, and those are, number 1, the word poured, the word pooled, okay? Puddles, pooled. You write about puddles. You write about the way rain is falling from the sky. It can pour, it can drizzle, okay? You know those things, and you surround your, what looks like a very made in the moment paragraph, you make it a very you fill in the gaps. That's exactly what you're doing. Okay, you write about torrents of rain. You write about the dark, gloomy sky. Okay, those are things that you can frame your story around, and those are things that are gonna help you to build your um what do you call that, your description. You can add fun, more unconventional bits and pieces inside to make it more personalized, to adapt it to the story. But ultimately, these structure and more conventional descriptions are going to be what frames your story and what helps you get started. And not, it can be very, very easy to get stuck while focusing on the creative part of writing an introduction or just any description. Okay, so very, very important to read intentionally. When I say that, I mean you're looking at good compositions, you're noticing what is more conventionally used as descriptions, and you're internalizing that, you're remembering that. Okay, so you can better replicate it. Okay, later on in my next live, I'm going to talk a bit more about story banking and some ways to use it. I have spoken about it previously, but I'll go more in depth this time. All right, so that's it for this live. I will see you guys later again. All right, bye everyone.